What an introduction. I could feel my cheeks getting red and hot. It is an honor to be with this group this morning, and I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else, given the times that we are in. It's always inspiring to be in a group of educators, whether you're in higher education, K-12, a little bit of both, um, because when we're in these spaces, I feel super energized and motivated and leave feeling like I can change the world. And so I am excited to engage with you all today. Um, Dr. Duhan, thank you for that really beautiful pre-introduction. Name has become such a huge part of who I am as an educator and as a scholar. And so it's an honor not only to be a part of the organization, but to be able to engage with so many brilliant humans around the beautiful state of Louisiana, but across the country as well. Gwen, you didn't tell me what you were going to be talking about this morning, but we talk at least once a week. However, my little spiel this morning is very related to what you were talking about. The many struggles that we and our students have gone through. You talked about it from a higher education perspective. I think a lot of what you were saying is applicable in the K-12 world as well. It's applicable in any kind of world. We can probably find ways to tie it to the work that we're doing as adults with each other. And that's what I hope to portray today. So before I get started, I do want to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Duhan, Dr. Wynn, Dr. Duff, and Dr. Ismail. Dr. Ismail is always one of my biggest champions. Thank you so much for inviting me to serve as keynote speaker for our fall session this year. And before I start talking, I'd like to explain the positionality I bring to the space. So I am a Latino. My family is from Nicaragua, born and raised in New Orleans. I am a gay man. Shout out to my husband, Alex Wagner, who is here on our call. And so brown, LGBTQ, cisgender. Those are the main ones that I like to share before I speak in a space, especially in a space where we're talking about justice issues. So as we work diligently to continue to build on the legacy of the Louisiana chapter of NAME, as I mentioned, an organization that is so near and dear to my heart, and one which I'm incredibly proud to be an active member of, it's truly an honor to be here with you today. As Gwen mentioned, the theme of today's seminar is being the light in uneasy times. And it could not be more fitting given the many, many uneasy circumstances that we've all had to endure as a society, from racism to police brutality, particularly with regards to our Black brothers and sisters, to recovering from what I believe to be an incredibly harmful Trump era, to navigating a devastating global pandemic. And then, of course, here in Louisiana, recovering from a number of natural disasters. Times have been anything short from uneasy. And so as educators, we often are used to working to put out fires, whether it's in higher education or in K-12. I think I was thinking about K-12 specifically when I was writing this. But these social and community-based fires have been very, very difficult to be able to put out. They've been extremely hard to navigate. And to many of us, it's been super hard trying to find ways to see some kind of light at the end of a tunnel. And that takes a toll on you. And so as I sat and I reflected on what would be the theme of my own address to you this morning, there were so many things that came to mind. I could talk about, culturally sustaining pedagogy, and how important that could be as we grapple the many traumas our communities are dealing with. To that point, though, I could also have talked about how important it is for us to become informed on highly effective trauma-informed practices as we engage with in whatever work each of us engages in. But there's one thing that I continuously kept thinking about, and it was something fairly simple, and it was rooted in humanity. And that is the importance of cultivating meaningful relationships during these particularly uneasy times. Or, and there might be some people in the space today who know the late, great Rita Pierson, what educator Rita Pierson called cultivating a strong power of connection. And so I don't know about you, but but more than ever today, I have found myself needing to lean in on those around me in order to better fulfill my own duties as an adult education leader, as a professor at Tulane, and even as an elected member of my local school board. I have certainly found myself becoming more and more intentional about cultivating super authentic relationships with my colleagues, as well as my students, because in most of those interactions that I have engaged in, one common theme has arisen. And that theme is that we cannot get through these uneasy times alone. And so to better tie this and bring it back to the theme of the seminar, we have to find ways to be the light for each other during these tumultuous times in our society. In spaces like this one today, when we're able to be in person, those are opportunities where we get to be the light for each other. So in a TED Talk, Rita Pierson talked about the impact the power of connection has on children, building meaningful relationships with children. But it could certainly be easily interpreted to the work that we do as adults, and the meaningful relationships that we as adults too should be engaging in. And if there's anything I have taken from surviving the last several years of social health and natural unrest, it is to cultivate my own power of connection with those whom I engage with daily, to empathize. Because more times than not, many of us are having common feelings, thoughts, and emotions. And so it's so important for us to be able to lean in on each other and engage in vulnerable conversation or just vulnerability as a whole, to understand how impactful these uneasy times are on our communities on a very human level, because sometimes we can get stuck on, scholarship and teaching and learning and things from a very intellectual level, but really understanding how what we're engaging in really impacts these uneasy times on a very human level. And so as we engage in today's presentations, which I'm immensely excited about, and the many collaborative opportunities, and as we continue to work on building the Louisiana chapter of NAME, I want to encourage everyone who's here to find ways to cultivate your power of connection with others who are here. If there's anything that history has taught us, it's that in the midst of chaos, when people like us, when change agents like us, when people who believe in affecting change that is just for our people, when we come together to affect change, or even for a common cause, anything is possible. And so again, I want to thank you all for listening to my little spiel. Thank you, Dr. Duhan, Dr. Wynn, Dr. Duff, Dr. Ismail, for allowing me the opportunity to talk this morning. And I look forward to engaging with you all today. Cultivate that power of connection today. Together, we're going to be able to continue affecting change. I truly believe it. Thank you.